Hi, people. I'm Dax.
And I'm Em.
And this is Full His House,
your Full House fancast.
And this week, we are covering Season 1, Episode 8, Jesse's Girl. On a stormy night, the family is up to telling a bedtime story about a girl that caught the eye of both Jesse and Joey. The girl was being tortured by Jesse, but fell hard for Joey. Oh my God. Tutored. I was like, what? Like, I agree that he was kind of torturing her, but like, it's tutored. Apologies. I almost don't want to re-record that, but I know that I should. Okay.
Oh, don't. Keep that in.
Okay. Well, for those listening, the girl was being tutored by Jesse, but fell hard for Joey. But I mean, yeah, overall thoughts on the episode?
Okay, so first and foremost, not a big fan of this episode. In my personal opinion, very personal opinion, it wasn't well written because it felt like the writers tried to go down a romance lane they were not prepared to go down. No one packed, there was no snacks, everybody overheated, and the car got a flat, and they didn't have a donut. So we just kind of, went along for the ride, and it wasn't a great one, to be completely honest. But we can go through it in more detail as we break it down, because, this wasn't a good one, especially because these writers did not know romance. This was interesting.
My whole thing is that I generally do find this one a little bit on the boring side. It was probably one of the last ones that I could actually remember, But I do want to just say, like, even with all of this being said, the woman playing Karina Spicer, Elizabeth Kiefer, was absolutely wonderful. Mm-hmm. She's beautiful, sweet. I think she did the most with what she was given, which I think is great.
No, 100%. Again, a very, 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 very personal opinion. Again, this is like, I'm not... Maybe if you give me like 10 years and I'm doing what I really want to be doing right now and I'm writing scripts and I've got all that under my belt, we can take my thoughts more seriously on it. But my very personal opinion, it was poorly written, not necessarily poorly acted.
Yeah, no, I think that people would agree with you on that. I just as like someone who does not write, I can say that I was a little bit bored. So, I think that totally makes sense. So we start on a dark and stormy night. Jesse comes downstairs with a bat, and Joey and Jesse scare each other in the dark. They scream. Danny comes down and asks what's going on. And Joey says, "This psycho was about to mash my potato." And, the girls then come downstairs. The guys are just kind of like quiet. DJ says, "Hello." And Danny says, "Don't ever say hello to your father like that again." And the girls...
I mean, fair.
Yeah. I mean, if you have that kind of power... like, that's the other thing, too. The fact that it's always kids who are haunted. It's always kids, dolls. Don't do that.
See, it's not necessarily that it's always them. It's that the creepiest ones that you can think of are usually tied to those. It's either like a child or a doll or something of that. It's like something you can't hurt or you legally can't hurt. So it's kind of like yeah. My opinion.
Yeah, no, agreed. So the girls ask what's going on, and Joey says, "Well, Jesse's just a wee bit miffed at me." And Jesse says, "A wee bit miffed? I'm miffed off." And Joey suggests that they let bygones be bygones, and Jesse says, "Bye, you're gone." Danny suggests that they just hug and make up, but that's not happening because Jesse's not in the mood because he feels like Joey has stabbed him in the back. And the girls are very intrigued to hear this bedtime story, and Danny allows it, but says that it better be kept PG. So we start with the story. He's giving a lesson to fill in blanks at work. I guess the bug killing business is a little bit slow. And while he's rehearsing, TJ walks in and says, "Your new student is here. This one's great." I don't love like that now the girls have this whole way of seeing women based on like how Jesse interacts with them. You know what I mean? Is that making sense?
No, it makes sense. It makes sense. I feel like if the writers are smart, they'll catch on to that, and we'll have that in like a later episode when she starts aging up and she starts, as a teenager, you start dressing differently, trying to feel more like a woman type thing. Will she take that same kind of route of dressing in the same way? Because oh, well, Uncle Jesse finds that attractive, so will other guys find that attractive? Type of thing. I'm hoping we'll see that later, but that's for a later thing. As of for right now, I have to agree with you. I'm not a big fan that that's kind of how they associate the women that he befriends. It's not a healthy outlook. We know that this is still early in the season, so I'm hoping at maybe we make an episode of that, of him finally realizing of how he sees other women. Um, but it wasn't a great moment. There are a lot of not great moments in this one.
Yeah, it definitely shows the 80s and how it portrayed women. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so Karina walks in, the two introduce themselves, and DJ excuses herself. Jesse begins his lessons, and Karina says that she has no music experience but wants to learn because she's a teacher and wants to do sing alongs with her students, which I think is like, it's very sweet.
Yeah, it's cute.
Stephanie then walks in with a decapitated teddy bear, and Jesse just kind of dismisses her and says, "Not now." But Karina notices it. She goes, "Aw." And, then Jesse changes his whole demeanor because up until this point, we've seen that like the priorities for Jesse go girls, then the family girls. You know what I mean? Like it always trumps anything that,
If it feels kind of like it's like girls, motorcycle, then like family.
yeah, maybe even girls, motorcycle, music, family. Like,
Maybe even, yeah. Like we haven't seen them climb the the totem pole in a sense quite yet. Like they're still kind of at the bottom of his priority list. So, I mean, I'm not surprised by the fact that he kind of like shoot her. That was a very Jesse thing to do, especially right now. Um, it's I'm also not surprised that he switched that up the moment he realized it was something that she liked. Jesse definitely comes off as the type of guy to adapt to the women he wants to date.
I did it all for the nookie. So
Literally.
he suggests that he's going to help her with the teddy bear and then refers to Stephanie as honey punch sugar pie. And even Stephanie thinks that that's a little bit weird. And she looks at Karina and says, "You're pretty. Watch him." And again, are these girls a little bit too in tune with what Jesse is doing with these women?
They are way too in tune. Now, it's hard because obviously this was like written, right? And this is what makes it so difficult because it feels like we've only seen a couple of like, red flag moments when it comes to Jesse and his treatment of girls in front of his nieces. So it almost feels uncalled for. It almost feels like, I mean, have they picked up on that much so far? Because realistically, I mean, we had we had that one chick. I think it was like episode 1 or 2, the one who was supposed to be waiting for him upstairs, and then Danny kicked her out and put her on the couch, and then she left. Then we had the girls in the boat, and they came back. I can't think of any other. Oh no, there was that one girl that he was kissing on his bike as well when Joey came down and they wouldn't stop kissing. Nobody noticed. Then we talked about the whole high school locker room or locker at that point. But as far as I know, those are like the only real times. So it's like we know that like he brings them over and he kisses. So maybe it's just the fact that like he goes through them often, but that didn't seem like a joke of like, oh, he replaces girls quickly because that's kind of what you would see as a kid. You don't know exactly what's happening. Those are definitely like adult based jokes that didn't feel like it's very likely that despite them saying it, they didn't even understand realistically like the base of the joke.
Yeah, that's true. But yeah, it's like adult jokes being told from children, which sometimes works, but like this is just a little bit too adult. But
This one didn't work for me. Yeah, this one didn't work for me. Both DJ and Stephanie, it really didn't work for me in this episode. It felt it felt like they didn't understand the joke that they were telling, and realistically they shouldn't understand that joke at all. They shouldn't understand either one of them.
Yeah, it's a little bit weird. Um, so they resume their lesson, and Jessie says Karina is pretty when she smiles. She's doing very terribly as she tries to mimic what he's doing, but he's not like actually. I know that this is a TV show. I know that, I shouldn't be looking into this, but as a little bit of a musician ish, this is just not how music lessons go. You know what I mean? It is just so like he didn't even like demonstrate. First of all, the first thing you always talk about is breathing. Okay. Then you go
Mm-hmm.
into like how your frets and shit like that. And like, no, I don't know. It bugged me because there was no real demonstration on how to do things. She's just watching and trying to like mimic on her side. And it was just weird. Um,
Well, I know that like from like the small amount of time I did learn to play guitar, like there is a point in early lessons where they try and teach you to like shift between chords randomly just so you can get used to, moving your fingers in that way and getting like the callus built up on your fingers, because not gonna lie, that hurts when you're first starting out. Pushing down on the strings, that actually it hurts a lot when you're first starting out. So you have to build up that callus. So it is definitely like a part of it. But if she wasn't doing well enough to understand the notes, we wouldn't be at that point yet. That much I will say. So it's like it wasn't super realistic, but they weren't completely off.
yeah, I mean, it worked for what it needed to work with. Jessie begins demonstrating songs that she would be able to play with just two chords, and goes into I Can't Help Falling in Love, all creepy like. And Karina, you can tell, is just trying to like see what he's doing and follow the lessons, but he's, being, you know, all flirty and creepy. I don't know.
Okay. Okay. This was one of the big moments where I was just kind of like, all right, I'm not gonna like this episode. Like this was the moment where I knew I was not gonna like the episode, period, because like I could kind of see this being something that like Joey would go through. Right? He's going through a lesson. He sees a really pretty girl. She's sweet. She's funny, and she also likes kids. She laughs at his jokes. He's gonna think that's the perfect woman, right? That makes sense. But Jessie gets a lot of female attention, and you're telling me we're this deep into our player days, into our musician player days specifically, and we haven't picked up the difference between love and lust? Because we know Jessie hasn't learned anything about her yet. He learned that she's a teacher, that she likes kids enough to learn to at least play basic music, and she's really, really bad at it. Like really bad at it. The learning curve is crazy. She doesn't pick things up quickly. Like we've learned basically that. That's about it.
Yeah,
So
it's a little weird.
what has he fallen in love with? Because it's just, again, he's met so many women. The way that this happened, it gave like virgin vibes. You get me, like someone who doesn't get a lot of attention, but then they see somebody, they're so pretty, they're this, they're that, they're the other thing, and you immediately like really, really want them to just like you. You just really want them to like you. And when you find out that they like you back, you're just like, okay, love at first sight. This is my soulmate. Like I'm never gonna find somebody that looks like this and has this personality and this, that, and the other thing. But it's like we've seen the other girls that Jessie has brought in. There's the singer. I can't remember her name. I think it was like Roxanne or something, or Roxy.
Correct, Roxana.
Like he's dealt with a lot of different women, and none of them were like dumb. They all seem to be at least from money or have some kind of talent or have something going for themselves. Like he's not bringing home like at least not all the time, he's not bringing home bimbos. You get me? Like he's not always just bringing home some like random girl. So it's like with just the fact that he has so much experience, they could have laid something special out about her to make her that girl.
That's actually a good point. I see what you're saying. Like
Bella vibes, just boring.
I see what you're saying because he doesn't know anything about her other than he finds her beautiful and or pretty or whatever it is. And with that, he ends up taking her. He takes her out and they hang out all day. She says that they went on a picnic by the bay, a candlelit dinner in wine country, and like it's just a lot to do for someone that you just met that day, who you don't even know whether or not she likes you back. And like in that moment, he goes in to kiss her, but she's like not into it. You can kind of tell that she's not into it. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and the girls are like watching up on the stairs, and they say ew. Um, and the girl, Jesse says, have mercy. And then when she leaves, he says, don't ever ooh when your uncle is kissing. It's just, it was a lot. Uh, and
Oh my gosh.
the boys kind of see that he's all smiley and stuff like that. So Jesse can't stop smiling, and the boys ask about how it went with the girl. And one of them makes a comment that you wear a top hat and pull white doves out of your pants. um,
That was an interesting joke.
it is that like a sign of romantic in any like old classics or anything like that?
Yeah, I think it was in like silent films specifically. I don't know if it went beyond that, but I know I've seen a couple silent films where like, they'd be very dramatic about it so you kind of understood what was happening or it was just meant to be kind of a drama. And they'd pull, like doves or like a bouquet of like fake white flowers from like a hat or their pants or something like that.
Okay.
I think it's also something that some clowns still and used to do as well. Like it's a trick to like let a dove fly out of your hat or, pull out that fake bouquet. I think that's also a clown thing.
Yeah, no, I've definitely seen clowns do that.
Mm-hmm.
While they're in the kitchen, Danny tells the story of meeting Pam, and he says the next morning he woke up with a mustache, which was ew. I thought that was such a weird joke. Like,
Yeah, I'm not going to lie. Even now, I don't get it.
I don't, I've only heard this kind of experience from one individual, but from what I can tell, usually the first time a dude or a boy like might discover themselves, other puberty like gets kicked into gear. It like prompts other shit.
Okay.
So I think that's what they were getting at, but I don't know.
Yeah, I'm going to say this one kind of went over my head. I'm going to say that yeah, I'm going to just say this one went over my head a little
I
bit.
think it went over most heads. I think it's just the idea of that, like, oh, I'm seeing a beautiful girl and it's activating all of my like puberty. So I was like, all right, weird. Okay.
Yeah, just again, not my favorite episode. This is such a weird moment, but yeah, yeah.
But the point that Danny is trying to make is that love just does not happen that fast.
It doesn't, especially not for Jesse. That it just this whole episode felt weird and unrealistic because this didn't feel like something Jesse would do.
Right, because he does just cycle through girls. And like you said before, I really do think it would have been way more valuable if there was something special about her that he noticed to kind of prompt this urgency to really woo her?
Exactly. Even if it was something like, you know, like we could have a small moment where Danny has said like, oh, Pam used to do that or Pam used to like that. Like maybe there was something that like reminded him of Pam subconsciously and he never really picked it up, but at that moment he noticed it or something. You get me? Just like giving us some kind of deeper meaning or something behind it that made it feel like, oh, I can see why he might like her. Instead, I'm just like, bro, you brought in this bushy-tailed woman and said, "Oh, she's pretty. We love her now because she also is a teacher and likes kids." I guess that's what gets guys to, get a hard on for proposing or something. I don't know. That it feels weird. It feels weird.
Yeah. We're back at the storytelling mode. We're back at the, dark and stormy night. And Danny asks to please stop making out in front of the kids, which, yeah, stop doing that. It's inappropriate.
I mean, yeah, you could do it outside. You don't have to do it in front of us. We don't need to see it either. I'll be honest. It's a kids TV show. None of us need to see it.
Yeah, it's weird. We then get Joey's side of the story. Karina comes back later that night or was it later that night? No, it was like on another day, I guess. Um,
Was it?
this is me thinking.
I feel like it was all on the same night. Like after he had like
Yes,
left her to like go take care of the girls or something like that. Like, didn't she like run into Joey in the kitchen or something? Or like no, they ran into each other in the living room because they walked into the kitchen afterward. But I feel like it was like one right after the other. Like all of that happened in one night.
but why did she come back? Because they had a date?
Maybe it wasn't necessarily the
Yeah.
date. Um, well, okay, so I know that like
Well,
maybe it was because of how it ended. Like, you know, she wasn't really feeling the kiss type thing, but she didn't really tell him that she wasn't feeling it. Maybe she came back to tell him she wasn't feeling it.
Karina is coming back for another lesson. This is on a different day because I remember something that Jesse says later.
Oh,
But
got you. No, I just put it together
yeah.
too. No, I remember. Okay.
So Karina comes back on another day to have a lesson with Jesse, and Jesse's not there yet. And they're about to watch The Wizard of Oz. And Joey invites Karina to watch with them because Jesse's not there yet. And Karina says that it's her favorite movie and gets introduced to the entire family, and they go to sit down to watch the movie. But there's a static issue with the cable or with the television, and Stephanie wants Danny to fix it. And Danny's unsure if that's something that he can actually fix. And
Fair.
Joey then does his Wizard of Oz bit, which is just in itself, okay, probably the best moment in the entire episode, if we can be honest. Like, this is one of the more iconic moments of Full House and just of what Dave Coulier can do. So I really enjoyed at least this.
I can agree with that. I can agree with the fact that this was the best bit of the show so far. And at very least, this whole scene, you know, her saying, "Oh, this is my favorite movie," and Joey saying, "Oh, it's mine too," and then them sitting down, the static, all the good stuff, like all of that at least built some chemistry between him and her, so it made them wanting to date each other make sense for like later. But yeah, just I want to know what was so special about it because everybody over here falling in love for no reason.
No, absolutely.
It's
The other
just
question that
crazy.
I have is all the props were just like there in a box in the living room. Like, I get that the alcove is where Joey lives, but like, I don't know. Maybe this is like a new bit that he was working on and it was all just there. But that's the only
I
thing that kind of
mean,
bumped me.
look, I keep saying that Joey is sneakier than y'all think he is. Like, I'm positive he didn't say that, you know, Danny's mom was coming home on purpose because he knew it would cause some chaos. Like, I still thoroughly believe that. And I thoroughly believe here he caused the static because why else would there be a box of props ready to do his bit?
Okay, maybe he didn't cause the static, but
You sure? I mean, look, they were box TVs and antennas. It's real easy to cause static on those. All it requires is a bump.
there's theories. Yeah. Yeah, I could see that. Um,
I mean, it was right there, ready to go. Everything he needed. That was planned. That was not like he didn't go back and search for it because he was, you know, doing it earlier and he tossed it back in the, you know, under his bed or something like that. It's like, no, it was right there. It was ready. I'm telling Joey caused chaos on purpose because it gave him a leg up or because he just wanted the entertainment. He's messy, but he's quiet messy.
y'all heard it here first. Um, so after his little performance, Stephanie again emphasizes that she wants someone to fix it. Um, Karina says she loved it, and Danny says that he's gonna rent the tape, and the girls go to bed. Okay, question. How
Yes.
long is The Wizard of Oz?
Isn't it like a 90 minutes, something like that? 90 minutes, maybe 100, 110. I think it's about 90 minutes though.
Okay, it is an hour and 42 minutes. How long was
Okay.
was Joey's bit?
It's a fantastic
Like,
question.
why are the girls going to bed right now? They have at
Not
least.
only that, but like, why is Danny going to get the tape if the girls are going to bed? Why are we renting it if the girls are going to
Well, he
bed?
said he
I'm
would rent the
confused.
tape the next day. My whole thing is if we were
Okay.
about to watch a movie and then we instead watch like maybe a 5-minute skit and then the kids have to go to bed, the fact that there's no protest, because that's
Right.
a
You know,
whole
you make a good
movie's
point.
worth of like nighttime that they should still be. I just know this because like bedtime is important to kids and staying up is important to kids. There was a whole damn near 2 hours where they could have been like up, and that could also just throw off a kid's sleep schedule. So I don't know. Like, I don't, again, I know it's a show. I know these aren't the things that matter, but it used to always bother me. And now I get to say that.
No, I completely get that. I completely get that. Because I mean, like, look, again, we know it's a show, but I think everybody appreciates like realism. And when something sticks out, like, nah, that wouldn't happen, it kind of breaks the immersion just a little bit. Not enough to like ruin the show, but like I I I am tempted to agree with you. Completely
Yeah,
actually.
I just didn't love it. Um, so the girls go upstairs, and Karina and Joey are then left to talk about their love for children. And Karina finds Joey funny and asks about his girlfriend. She says, "Your girlfriend must adore you." And Joey confirms that he does not have a girlfriend. Um, Karina suggests them getting together at some time, and Joey agrees. And in that moment, Joey then puts together that Jesse was interested in this girl and runs into the kitchen. Karina follows.
Which is like, why? Can we just pause there real quick? Why? Why are you wandering through the house? You don't live here. Why did you follow me? Why are you following me? I said, wait here, I'll be right back. And you proceed to follow me?
This ain't your house. You're just walking through doors.
Ex-
You don't know what you're
exactly.
going to walk
You just,
into.
exactly. Like, who are you? You went on one date with one guy who's definitely not here yet. We said he wasn't here. You were lucky to get in on family, I guess, skit night since we didn't get a movie. But like, they don't give you the freedom to just roam around the house like you're a sim and there's no rules.
And it's interesting too, because as an adult, I still kind of do this. If I'm going to somebody, to someone new, like their domain, I don't even sit or put anything down until I'm invited to, like I ask before
Mm-hmm.
doing anything. It gets to the point where like people need to tell me, "Oh my God, just make yourself at home." Like, like it's a real barrier thing. So yeah, I don't know. It's a thing.
I mean, look, as somebody who's definitely like gone to people's houses where they have like a formal living room that nobody ever sits in because the couches are expensive, and mama or auntie or whoever's like, don't sit on those couches, you go in the other room and you sit on those. Like, you don't just go in somebody's house and just start roaming around. Like, I even ask like where the bathroom is, even if I passed it going in. Why? Because I need you to know where I'm going. I feel more respectful by like not lurking through your house. Maybe it's because I would feel more respected if people did the same thing when they were, over here. Like, you come over to my house, like, I'll be right back, I'm going to the restroom. Cool. Perfectly fine with me. Then if I go out and I don't find you in the bathroom and I find your ass downstairs in my kitchen, I'm gonna ask what you doing, because that's not where you're supposed to be at. I'm just gonna be honest. You don't belong here. You don't live here for a reason. It's not your house, so why are you wandering?
Yeah, she was a little bit too confident walking there. So she
Man.
Yeah, and the thing is too, like, it's just so much for anybody out there who's just like, man, these are angry. Okay, well, you know what? It's just that this episode, first of all, you're not catching us on a good day. Secondly, secondly, it's just that this episode, it just builds. Like, you get it just, you can only increasingly become more upset about certain things. So just
look, look,
bear
look.
with us. It's why we're here.
Look, at the end of the day, we are not angry. I said at the beginning, this is a badly written episode, in my opinion. It feels like this is a united opinion at this point, but this is a very badly written episode. If you want to hear us happy, go to some of our other episodes. We're definitely not angry all the time.
Okay, I apologize, guys. We're back to it. We're back to it. So
Tangents are fine.
Joey is doing some random checks in the kitchen, and refers to her as Jesse's girl. Karina says that Jesse is terrific, but there is nothing special. And Joey's like, that's cool and everything, but you never mess with a buddy's girl. And then right after that, they kiss. Well, because she does that thing, and I like the way she does it. She was like, oh, it wasn't like this. It was one of these, and just plants one on him. Like, I'm not sure if she fully had his consent.
Okay.
Like, she's kind of just as aggressive as Jesse is with Joey. You know what I mean? Like, the way that Jesse was with her is how she is with Joey.
Here's my thing as well, though, right? Is first and foremost, she's nobody's girl. She went on one date. They are currently dating. Nothing is exclusive. He's also her tutor. So who's to say it would go beyond the tutoring stages anyways, right? But I agree. She was definitely aggressive. I'm not going to say much about consent in this specific case because, yes, while there was no verbal consent, it's very obvious that he liked her, but she should have picked up on the fact that he was extremely uncomfortable, and him saying immediately, like, oh, you don't move in on your buddy's girl, should have told her that she needs to deal with Jesse before trying to move in on Joey. So we can say she's aggressive, but we can also say she messy as hell. That's just period. She messy.
The other thing too is like, if someone, even if you're not Jesse's girl, if you know that he has an issue with it because Jesse really likes you, like you said, handle it with Jesse first. Like, just do the respectful thing. Like, don't just be, and you're in somebody else's house. But yeah, it's a whole thing.
Man, how you gonna push up on somebody else in their house after following them into their kitchen uninvited? That's crazy. I would have called the police.
You're not allowed. You're uninvited. Unfortunate, okay?
And you all up in my no-no square. I don't appreciate it. I already said no, and you stepped right on through that like 3 times.
Craziness. Jesse walks in on them kissing, and he says, I came in and found you kissing the woman of my dreams. Joey makes a bad choking excuse, saying that she was choking on a piece of cheese and he was using the Hoover maneuver.
We should have just been taking tallies of like the bad jokes in this episode because, man, they are just racking them up. That was a bad joke.
With the believability of it is what makes it bad, but I do love Hoover maneuver. Like, I do find that hilarious.
I didn't. I'm not going to lie. I didn't. This didn't tickle anything. I just kind of rolled my eyes when he said it. But maybe it's just, it's very likely not the fact that it wasn't funny, just like my overall irritation that built up to that moment.
You need to be primed to like hear Hoover maneuver and laugh.
Well, it was funny when you said it there, so that helps.
Because you were properly primed.
Exactly.
Joey then confesses to kissing. Jesse does the no. Karina suggests that the boys talk. Jesse's not into it, and Karina says she didn't mean to cause any trouble.
Yes, she did. Like I said, look, I said earlier, she's messy. He said no. She stepped in and kissed him 3 times. I wasn't trying to cause a problem. He just said he wasn't trying to step in on his buddy's girl, which just tells you immediately Jesse really likes you. You also just went on a date with him, so you know he really likes you. And we're still gonna homie hop. I mean, do you? But let's just call it messy when it's messy.
Yeah, she messy. I think that she was definitely just acting selfishly without even considering anything else, even though she had the information. But yeah, it's just weird. They say that they're going to discuss this in a calm, rational adult manner. And Jesse immediately starts chasing Joey after Karina leaves. Joey takes Michelle in defense And Danny walks in on their dynamic saying, and okay, so this is the weird part for me. Joey says, I'm sorry, but she likes me more. And Jesse says, well, how can she like you more? And they're like kind of establishing the fact that they're aware that Karina likes Joey more. And Joey is like super picking up on this. And I just like, why are we discussing what a woman wants when she's not in the room? Even though she's a
Because she gave
messy
them
person,
permission.
I don't know.
She literally gave them permission. She said, "You guys need to go and talk."
True.
She literally was just like, "Look, I'm an object. Why don't you guys go ahead and bargain for me and let me know what you decide afterward?" Like that's what I heard. And that's what they did. They went over, they bargained, they figured out what they liked, and then at the end they told her their answer and she's like, "Cool. I was hoping for that outcome." Like it was weird. It was like she had no autonomy.
Yeah, weird. Yeah, in the background of your own love story.
Right.
Danny walks in on their thing and instructs them to, because it looks like they're fighting over Michelle. So he instructs them to give Michelle a kiss and not make her choose, which is a little bit of a cute visual.
Nah. Okay. Okay. Look, this was another problem that I had because what kind of punk decides that he beefing with his homeboy, so let me put a baby between me and you? That's one, crazy, and two, petty as hell. That's crazy. That's crazy. I get that Jesse might put his hands on you, but like what's the actual likelihood? Like we've never seen Jesse swing on nobody. He just be grabbing people by the collar like he's in Greece.
Like he's in Greece. Like, no, really though. We've never actually seen and you know what? It's facts. And I'm sorry if this is me getting ahead of myself or whatever, but we never actually see Jesse swing on anyone. I'm going through my archives of Full House knowledge, and I don't really see Jesse taking down anybody. So it is all just words, um, but you know, it's his aesthetic. It's weird. Like you can like picture him bringing somebody down. I mean, I can't anymore because I know that he's just Jesse, but he has like that aesthetic or whatever. And Joey, I don't know. I kind of feel like in a fight, why do I feel like Joey would win?
You know, mainly because Joey comes off as the type of guy who got bullied a lot in school, so he had to learn how to fight early. But at the same time, he also comes off as the type of guy who was told to not actually fight. Like, especially after that whole episode where we met all of their moms, right? Like, his mom wasn't giving, like, you only hit if they hit you first type of vibes. She was giving, go and tell the teacher if somebody puts their hands on you type of vibes. So I wouldn't even say that realistically he could win in a fight. Like real, I feel like if Joey was in a fight, he would pull the windmill out immediately, just arms wailing back and forth because he's not really sure how to land a punch, but he knows that you can't land a punch if he's doing this.
But if the other side can't throw a punch.
see that's where I'm like, he might be able to win because he would probably go for that windmill first and make it hard to just even get in there.
Yeah, it's kind of like, don't hit me. I'll hit me.
Jesse comes off as a type who would fight if he got drunk enough, but otherwise, like he would just talk a lot of crap, and you would think that like getting punched by him might really hurt because he gives off that aesthetic of like, I beat people up before, but I have this feeling like he's never been in a fight.
Yeah, you know, and I'm kind of like that too. People be assuming that I can take people down and that I can fight or whatever. I'm actually a pacifist, but nobody ever wants to fight me because I'm quote unquote scary. I'm 5'3", y'all. It's not that serious.
I mean, look, it's been proven several times over and over and over again in the past that if you talk a good game, most times people don't want to figure out if their instincts are right or not. So it really just comes down to talking a good game. And Jesse looks like he could talk a good game.
And he does, because...
But I'm not going to lie. He also looks like if he threw a punch, he'd be unsure how to ball his fist up properly. I'm just being honest.
Facts. We're back at the dark and stormy night. Danny wants the girls back in bed. DJ wants to know how the story ends. And Jesse says Joey's guilt drives him insane, but no one can tell the difference. That was a good joke. Nah.
Is it meant to be because he feels like he's already crazy?
Yeah, like did that one go over your head too?
You know what? Just a little bit. I'm not gonna hold you. It went over my head just a little bit. I was like, yeah, I mean, I guess. Like that's how I reacted to it, like in that moment. But again, I feel like it just comes down to like the built up irritation that I've had with just this episode in general.
At this point, there's no salvaging this episode, y'all. Like
No, there wasn't. Not for me. I just got like increasingly irritated. I was just kind of like I think I actually picked up my remote 3 or 4 times to check and see how much longer I had to get, like how much longer until the end of the episode. I picked up my remote at least a couple times.
Sam. Well, we're almost there. um, Danny suggests a conversation to work this out. And I love Danny in this moment.
I love Danny in all moments.
I mean, just real quick, let's give it up. Like he's just so, I mean, to me, just such a comforting thing to like watch and like hear him talk. I love Bob Saget. I love Danny Tanner.
Agreed.
He asks the basic questions. What does she care about? What does she look for? Here's one for you. What color are her eyes? Green, hazel, green, hazel. What's her last name? Spicer. Like what? Come on, guys. Like
Spicer is crazy. Spicer is crazy. At least he didn't say spinster. That would have been an adult joke, but at least it would have been funny.
Jeez. If they would have said, yeah, damn, they should have thrown that in there. Danny suggests that they fell in love with being in love. Profound. Not all that profound.
Fell in love with the idea of being in love because it doesn't seem like either of them have been in love to that extent. It's been like puppy love. Love that you're willing to like let go of under the right circumstances.
Correct. Jesse admits that he falls in love so quickly because he's always hoping that this is the one. And this moment for me doesn't seem consistent with the Jesse that we've seen so far. We have seen a little bit more of that player that, you know, that I don't really care. That yeah, I'll just say player. But
yeah, I mean, player is what fits best here, 100%.
So it's interesting. This is the first time that we get any indication that he wants anything more than that. And, you know, Danny says he doesn't have to try so hard. And when the right woman comes, he will know. Joey suggests that he could have sworn that Karina was it, but he was mostly just shocked that somebody was interested in him. And Jesse says that Joey is a great guy and he should have a little bit of faith in himself, and admits that he recognized that Karina likes him more. I thought that was a little bit sweet. I do think that for Jesse, it was all fun and games when it was just like us, you know, fighting over a woman. But when the revelation of my friend feels bad about himself came out, he was like, well, I wasn't trying to play that game. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, so I agree with what you were saying about Jesse, this not being consistent with like what we've seen of Jesse so far. Realistically, the only person we've seen that he seemed to be really, really attached to was Roxanne or Roxy. Was it Roxanne or Roxy?
I think it's Roxana.
Roxana. Okay. So she was the only one that we've seen that he had like a real attachment to. It wasn't just some girl that he met. Like there's a reason why he filters through them. But we hit that one girl and he was hesitant. Like he didn't want to let her go, but he also knew what not letting her go entailed, following her around, right? We had that whole episode for it. And that kind of gave us, you know, a little look into what it looks like when he does really care about somebody, which means he should know kind of like what he wants, at least to a certain extent, in like a partner, right? I feel like him saying, oh, you know, I always think the next girl is going to be like the one, just doesn't make sense considering the fact that he's so locked into his music. It seems like the last thing on his mind would be finding a wife and settling down. The first thing on his mind would be getting out the house so he can get his record deal, since that's what we've been talking about since like episode 1. You get me? So it feels like there's been some kind of flip that they're trying to create here, but it just felt completely unrealistic. I feel like if they would have gone more down a route of like, like Jesse comes off as somebody who maybe isn't rejected often. Maybe she rejects him at the end of the day, but then finds that, she's interested in Joey and he takes that more to heart than anything else. That could have been a nice little interesting episode. But the route of them taking it like, oh, well, I always think the next person is the one was just weird because he does not give off I'm ready to settle down vibes. He gives off I want to chase my music type vibes. And the only thing keeping me here right now is the fact that Danny and the girls need me. Otherwise, he would be on the road, and we know that.
Right. Yeah.
But
It just seems
I like, go ahead.
it just seems like they wanted to connect with the audience out of nowhere.
Yeah, on something that wasn't relatable because the character didn't relate to it, despite him saying he did. It's just, it comes down to one of those things where it felt like I was playing a game of two truths and a lie, and that was the lie. Because no, you're joking. That just, it didn't feel right. It didn't feel natural to his character, especially with what we've seen up to this point. That feels like a dramatic amount of growth in like zero time.
Yeah, I think Joey's perspective and how he felt about himself is a little bit more realistic, and it is something that I think the
100%.
audience can relate to as well.
Yes.
Yeah, so it was it was a nice moment between the three men, but still not
It
quite
was.
earned, I would say.
Look, I will say that I feel like this episode was needed for Joey and not anybody else. I feel like they just weren't sure how to give this to Joey without it involving Jesse in some way because Jesse's like the one who attracts women in one way or the other. I feel like this episode was needed for Joey. Joey was for the first time like Joey was the one who needed like the pep talk and the pick me up and to be, to have people kind of there for him because he wasn't quite feeling himself or he wasn't, he was feeling down in one way or the other. I think we needed it for him specifically. I'm just not a fan of how he went about it because it felt unauthentic to a bunch of the other characters.
Yep. It's just weird. Jesse then hears a noise, opens the front door, and in pops Karina. She says that she like felt weird, so she came, but then she left, felt worse, and then came back. So that's like, I guess she's the one who's been waking up the family the entire night. And she says that she thinks that they're both great guys and doesn't want to mess up their friendship. Jesse then gives them his blessing for them to get to know each other.
Which, why do we need your blessing, first off? Second, why are you stalking around the house like that? Why didn't you just call or text? Or I was going to say text, but I forgot we're in the 80s. Why didn't you just call somebody or wait until morning when everybody's going to be awake instead of creeping around the house like a weirdo? You're lucky we didn't call the police. Like, or you didn't get your head busted in because you were creeping around like that. Like, it's crazy. Secondly, now all of a sudden you want a choice? A second ago, you told them to discuss it amongst themselves and let you know the verdict. Now all of a sudden it's like, well, I don't want to mess up your friendship. You weren't thinking about that where you were getting to know two guys who live together?
Yeah, no, that's true. Like, yeah, like it's just
Like
weird.
you can't claim to not know. They live together. You met them in the same house.
And she met the entire family without even fully understanding what's going on there. There could have been gay for all she knew. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
uh,
We didn't even think about it. We just moved from one and then the other because we like again, just she was like radiating privilege and audacity. It was born and bred in her cells and it was crazy.
she got some nerve. Um,
Man.
Danny then asks Jesse what he was going to do with the bat, and Jesse says, "I was going to kill him." Yeah, okay, Jesse. Joey and
Over
Karina.
a girl you met for 10 minutes?
Over a girl you met for 10. Well, that was the thing. It's not about Karina. It's about his pride. It's not so much that he liked Karina. It was just there's a girl that he wanted that wanted Joey, and that's what like really bothered him, you know?
Yeah, and I wish we would have just said that instead of just, oh, well, I really thought she was the one, like she was it. Why? What was it about her? Because you guys didn't have anything in common. Not a thing. She was just pretty, but she wasn't your first pretty girl either. So
Yeah, it's just odd. Joey and Karina kiss, and the girls ew. and they say good night to each other back and forth until the credits roll, and that is the episode.
Well, she said, "Don't say ooh," so they said ew. They listened, they learned their lesson, and went with something different.
This isn't Jesse though. That was Jesse's rule. This is Joey. But didn't we just tell Jesse not to make out in front of the girls, and now Joey's doing it?
Yeah, yeah. It almost feels like they feel bad for him, so they're like, "Oh, just let him get one in." One of those moments.
Very weird episode. What was
Mm-hmm.
our not in my house moments?
Oh, the not in my house moment.
For me, it would be Stephanie saying fix it when the TV went off. That would not fly, I don't think. It's like the kids don't make demands here. So
I was gonna say that, and then I immediately got reminded of the moment that irritated me the most, which was that woman walking into the kitchen when she was clearly told to stay put. Not in my house.
correct. That yeah.
We went off on a whole tangent. That would be the thing for me.
Yeah. No, definitely. Do we have a get the violins moment? I would say for me it would be, Joey expressing how he feels about himself, that he was just so, shocked that somebody was into him. I think that was a little bit of it was a little sad, a little heartfelt.
I think we can give it, that there was that little bonding moment between them, and again, it was something that Jesse or Joey really needed to hear. So yeah, I mean, I feel like if we're giving it a moment, it would be that one.
Yeah. And it's unfortunate because I feel like that could have been a way more powerful and impactful conversation if the episode around it wasn't so weird,
Yeah, I mean, like, low key, I feel like there's a lot of ways they could have gone about it that could have been a lot better. And again, I really feel like this one was poorly written.
Yeah, it sucks because I do love the idea of just like two men being able to level with each other in that way, and it's just
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it's just a little bit weird. Full stop. Which moments from the episode did not age well? Is it
You
the
mean
is it the
the
wandering
girls
around the
stepping
house thing?
into?
Because we can do that again. Like I don't.
We could, however, there's still that moment where she stepped into his no box and kissed him like 3 times after he didn't said, "I don't want to do this," and she's like, "Well, I mean, it was just like this." Like if it was the other way around, we would have been up in arms. I'm up in arms about it now because it made me uncomfortable. So I'm gonna say that one.
Yeah, true. With just all of the forward creepiness with everyone's quote unquote love on each other, like that was just a little bit. It's just a little inappropriate.
I mean, and then we also have the jokes that Stephanie and DJ made at the
Oh
beginning
yeah,
when she was getting at the first place. Like, there's also those did not age very well.
I think those jokes for me specifically, DJ's. This one's great. Stephanie's watch him. I don't love it. I do kind of like the idea that she's picking up on like, this is how men are. Because I don't think you're ever too early to learn like, the dangers. I mean, yes, you definitely can
Agreed.
be. I have
I
more
mean,
of an
learn
issue.
them in a healthy way, though.
Yes. Yeah. You got to learn these things in a healthy way. Point is, I do think that DJ's joke rubbed me a little bit more wrong than Stephanie's joke, but both of them were a little bit inappropriate.
I can understand that. I can understand that. Also, when she was like, "You know what? You guys talk amongst yourself and like let me know what you decide." I'm gonna go with that one too. Like, I feel like we have a couple of moments for this one because that one, yeah, that one didn't age very well for me. That one actually kind of irritated me just a little bit because then you wanted to come back and act like you had autonomy. I didn't go into options and check the autonomy box. You don't have any freedom. They're choosing for you. Why are you acting like you can now say something? You
And
should have
come
just waited for
back
their
to
call
this
like you did the
house.
first time. Exactly. Should just wait for the call like you did the last time.
And finally, a dad like Danny. I mean, I loved when he just pointed out to them that, I mean, he had to parent them for a second. He was like, y'all don't even know what you're talking about.
You know what? I like that. But I also like the moment when he found the two of them arguing with Michelle between them. And he was like, okay, you guys just, kiss Michelle and make up. That was kind of cute.
And I will also say, I do love Jesse, you have to stop making out in front of my kids. Like, yes,
Yes,
that's parenting.
100%. I agreed.
Yeah. But any other final thoughts before we wrap this one up?
Oh, I am fully ready to wrap this one up. I was not a fan of this episode, so let's wrap her and throw it in the back somewhere so we don't have to reach for it again. Thank you so much for listening, everyone.
Please remember to like, subscribe, all the things, and stay tuned for the next episode. Until then, this is Dax.
And reminding you
to never walk away angry, even though that's exactly what we're doing right now, because this episode was just not it for us.
Not it.